Welcome to this exciting course. I am thrilled to have you here as we dive into the fascinating world of the past simple tense, focusing on essential irregular verbs like go, see, and eat. As we navigate through these lessons together, I encourage you to follow the slides carefully. Take notes on the important points, as this will help reinforce your understanding. And remember, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to review the content or ask for clarification. Throughout this course, you will unravel the intricacies of the past simple tense, discovering how to express completed actions in the past. Understanding these concepts is not just about learning a language, it's about connecting with others and sharing your experiences. You'll find that mastering irregular verbs will significantly enhance your communication skills, making your conversations much richer and more engaging. By the end of this course, you will confidently use verbs like went, saw, and ate in your sentences, allowing you to tell your stories with clarity and precision. Imagine sharing a memorable weekend or a fantastic trip in English. You'll learn how to construct sentences in the past, express your thoughts, and bring your narratives to life. So, get ready for an enjoyable journey through the English language. Each slide is designed to build on what you learn, guiding you step by step. Let's embark on this learning adventure together and unlock the power of the past simple tense. If you are watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment telling us which city you are watching from. Continuing our course, let's dive deeper into what the past simple tense really is. At its core, the past simple describes an action that has been completed. Think of it as a snapshot of a moment in time, a specific event that started and finished in the past. The duration of that action doesn't matter. What's important is that it's over. For instance, if you say, I visited my grandmother yesterday, you're using the past simple to convey that the visit began and ended at a specific time in the past. This is key because it helps you to clearly communicate events that are finished. You may notice that certain words often accompany the past simple, acting as important markers. Words like yesterday, last night, and ago signal that we are referring to something that has already happened. For example, if I say, I saw a movie last night, it clearly indicates that the action of seeing the movie is complete and is situated in the past. So, when should you use the past simple? It's simple. Anytime you narrate something that has happened and is completely finished. This could be sharing a story about your weekend, talking about a trip you took, or even recounting a funny incident. As we move forward, we'll explore the grammar behind the past simple, especially focusing on how regular verbs follow a specific pattern. This will help you understand how to form sentences accurately. By mastering these rules, you'll be well equipped to express your past experiences effortlessly. Imagine how much more engaging your conversations will be when you can clearly convey your stories. Moving forward in our journey, let's explore the mechanics of the past simple tense, particularly focusing on regular verbs. Regular verbs are quite straightforward because they follow a predictable pattern. For instance, when you take the verb walk, it simply becomes walked when you express it in the past. Similarly, play transforms into played. Notice how easy it is to apply this rule. You just add ed to the base form of the verb. This consistency makes it easier to form past tense sentences. Now, let's consider how we handle negatives and questions in the past simple. Here, the auxiliary verb did plays an essential role. When we want to make a negative statement or ask a question, did takes on the past tense, and the main verb reverts to its base form. For example, if you want to say that you did not walk to school, you would say, I did not walk to school, rather than I didn't walked. This structure is crucial because it keeps your sentences clear and correct. The basic structure for forming a past simple sentence is simple. You start with the subject, then follow it with the past tense verb, and finally add any complements. For example, she walked to school follows this structure perfectly. It's interesting to observe how this simple format can convey complete actions from the past, making your communication effective. In the upcoming slides, we'll dive deeper into irregular verbs, which don't follow the same rules as regular ones. Understanding these differences will enhance your ability to express a wider range of past actions. Think about how knowing both regular and irregular verbs can enrich your storytelling and everyday conversations. Now that we've explored the basics of the past simple tense, let's uncover the golden rule of using auxiliaries, which is essential for constructing affirmative, negative, and interrogative sentences. This will help us communicate more effectively about our past experiences. In an affirmative sentence, the structure is straightforward. You start with the subject, followed by the past tense verb, and then any complements. For example, she went home. Here, the subject, she, is followed by the past tense of the verb go, which is went, and it's completed with home. This clear structure allows us to express completed actions effortlessly. However, when we move to negative sentences, the structure changes slightly. Instead of using the past tense verb, we use didn't, followed by the base form of the verb. So, to say she did not go home, we would say, she didn't go home. Notice how the main verb goes back to its base form, go. This is because did already carries the past tense, allowing us to keep our sentences correct and clear. Now, let's look at questions. For interrogative sentences, we start with did, followed by the subject, and then the base form of the verb. So, if we want to ask if she went home, we would say, did she go home? Again, notice how the verb returns to its base form because did is already in the past. Understanding this rule will be incredibly helpful as we continue our exploration of irregular verbs. Knowing how to properly form sentences in different contexts will empower you to share your past experiences confidently. Next, we will dive into the world of irregular verbs, where things get a little more interesting. So get ready to expand your vocabulary and storytelling skills. Continuing our journey, we now enter the fascinating world of irregular verbs. These verbs are like little puzzles in the English language, each with its own unique way of expressing the past. Unlike regular verbs, which simply add ed to form the past tense, irregular verbs have a history that shaped their forms. This means they don't follow a fixed rule, which can seem a bit tricky at first. But here's the good news. With practice and repetition, using these verbs becomes second nature. Just think of it like learning to ride a bike. At first, it might feel wobbly and challenging, but with time, you find your balance and it all comes together. In this lesson, we will focus on mastering 3 key irregular verbs: go, see, and eat. These verbs are not only common, but they also appear frequently in everyday conversation. For instance, when you say, I went to the store, you're using the past tense of go. It's essential to remember that went doesn't follow a rule, but it's a form you will quickly get used to with practice. Similarly, see changes to saw, and eat becomes ate. It's interesting to observe how each of these verbs carries its own story and transformation. These verbs help us share experiences vividly. Imagine saying, I saw a beautiful sunset, or we ate delicious food. Such phrases bring our past moments to life. As we dive deeper into these verbs, keep in mind that mastering them opens the door to more engaging conversations and storytelling. In our next slides, we'll explore each of these verbs in detail, learning how to use them effectively in different contexts. So, let's unlock the secrets of these irregular verbs together. Now that we've introduced the fascinating world of irregular verbs, let's focus on the first one, go, which transforms into went in the past. This is a perfect example of how irregular verbs break the rules we learned earlier. Instead of simply adding ed, go becomes went. Think about it. When you say, I went to the cinema last night, you're expressing a completed action. This past form allows you to share your experiences vividly. You can also ask questions using this verb, like, did you go to the party? Here, you're inviting someone to share their past experience as well. It's interesting to see how went fits into both affirmative and negative sentences. For example, if you didn't go to work yesterday, you would say, I didn't go to work. Notice how we revert to the base form go after didn't, keeping our sentence clear and correct. To make it relatable, think of times when you've shared plans with friends. You might say, I went to the beach last weekend, or we didn't go hiking because of the rain. Each of these examples brings your past actions to life, making your conversations more engaging. As we move forward, we'll explore other irregular verbs like see, which changes to saw, and eat, which becomes ate. Each of these verbs has its own unique transformation, adding richness to your storytelling. By mastering these verbs, you'll be able to express a wide array of past experiences effectively. So, let's dive deeper into our next irregular verb, see, and discover how it can enhance your communication. Continuing our exploration of irregular verbs, let's turn our attention to the second verb on our list, see. In the past tense, see transforms into saw. This change is another example of how irregular verbs don't follow the usual patterns we might expect. Think about how often we use see in everyday conversation. For instance, when you say, "She saw her friend at the mall," you're describing a specific moment in the past. This use of saw lets us share experiences that are vivid and relatable. You can also ask questions with this verb, such as, "Did you see the news?" This engages the listener and invites them to reflect on their own past experiences. Notice how the structure remains clear and straightforward. If you didn't see a movie last weekend, you would say, "I didn't see the movie." Here again, we revert to the base form see after didn't, which keeps your sentence grammatically correct. It's interesting to observe how using saw can enhance your storytelling. Instead of just stating facts, you can create a narrative that draws people in. Imagine telling a friend, "I saw a beautiful painting at the gallery." This not only shares what you experienced, but also paints a picture for your listener. As we dive deeper into these irregular verbs, remember that mastering them will empower you to express a wide range of past experiences confidently. In our next slide, we'll look at another essential irregular verb, eat, and how it transforms into ate. By the end of this section, you'll have a strong foundation to use these verbs effectively in your conversations. So, let's keep going. Moving forward in our journey through irregular verbs, let's explore our third key verb, eat, which becomes ate in the past tense. Just like go, transformed into went, and see into saw, eat follows its own unique path. Think about how often we use eat in our daily lives. For example, when you say, "We ate pizza yesterday," you're clearly sharing a completed action from your past. This simple sentence not only conveys information, but also brings a memory to life. You can almost imagine the taste and smell of that pizza, making it a more engaging conversation. Now, consider how you might ask someone about their past experiences with this verb. You could say, "Did you eat the cake?" This question invites the other person to recall their own experience, fostering a connection through shared memories. It's also important to remember how to use eat in negative sentences. For instance, if you didn't have lunch, you would say, "I didn't eat lunch." Notice how we revert to the base form eat after didn't. This keeps your sentence grammatically correct and clear, making it easy for others to understand you. As we master these verbs, think about how they enrich your storytelling. Instead of just recounting facts, using verbs like ate allows you to share experiences that create vivid imagery in your listener's mind. Imagine telling a friend, "I ate sushi last week," or "Last Saturday, we ate at a new restaurant." These details add flavor to your conversations. In the next slide, we'll practice transforming these verbs into their past forms, reinforcing what we've learned about go, see, and eat. By doing this, you'll become more confident in using these essential irregular verbs in your everyday conversations. So, let's dive into that practice together. Now that we've explored the transformations of our first three irregular verbs, go, see, and eat, let's focus on how to use them in negative sentences. This is an essential skill that will help you communicate clearly and correctly. When you want to say that you did not do something in the past, it's important to remember that the word didn't already indicates that you're talking about the past. This means we need to keep the main verb in its base form, rather than transforming it into the past. For example, the incorrect sentence, "I didn't went to work," is a common mistake. The correct form is, "I didn't go to work." Notice how we stick to go after didn't. Similarly, if you want to express that you did not see a movie, instead of saying, "I didn't saw the movie," The correct way is, I didn't see the movie. Again, we use the base form see. And for our last example, when you want to say you didn't eat lunch, instead of I didn't eat lunch, the correct structure is I didn't eat lunch. This keeps your sentence grammatically correct and easy to understand. Think about your daily conversations. When you share what you didn't do, using the correct negative form adds clarity. For instance, instead of saying, I didn't went to the party, you would say, I didn't go to the party. This small change makes your English much more precise. As we move forward, we will practice transforming these verbs and reinforcing our understanding of the correct structures. In the next slide, we will engage in some quick exercises to solidify your grasp of these negative forms. So, let's dive into that practice and strengthen our skills together. Continuing our course, we've established how to use the past forms of our key irregular verbs, go, see, and eat. Now, let's practice transforming these verbs in a quick and effective way. This step is essential for reinforcing what we've learned so far and ensuring you can recall these changes effortlessly in conversation. When you think of the verb go, remember that it changes to went in the past. So, if you catch yourself thinking about a past event, replace go with went automatically. For example, instead of saying, I will go to the store, you would think, I went to the store yesterday. This mental shift helps solidify your understanding and usage. Next, consider see. When recalling a past experience, remind yourself that see becomes saw. Picture a moment when you watched a movie with friends. Instead of saying, I see the movie last week, think, I saw the movie last week. This small adjustment can make your speech sound more natural and fluent. Lastly, let's not forget eat, which turns into ate. Imagine sharing a meal with family or friends. Instead of saying, I ate dinner with them, replace it with, I ate dinner with them. This simple change not only enriches your vocabulary, but also makes your storytelling more engaging. As you practice, you can create little mental reminders for each verb. See how easy it is to replace go, see, and eat with went, saw, and ate. This technique will help you communicate past actions clearly and confidently. In our next slide, we'll dive into forming questions with these irregular verbs, further building your skills in expressing past experiences. So, let's keep going. Now that we've practiced transforming our key irregular verbs, go, see, and eat, let's explore how to use these verbs in questions. This is an essential part of communication, especially when we want to engage others in conversation about past events. Think about how often we ask others about their experiences. For example, if you want to know if someone attended a recent event, you might ask, did you go to the party? This question not only checks if they were there, but also opens the door for them to share their experiences, making the conversation more lively and engaging. Next, consider how you could ask someone if they caught a particular story or event. Did you see the news? Is a great way to inquire about recent happenings. It prompts the other person to reflect on their own experiences and opinions, allowing for a deeper discussion. Notice how the structure remains consistent. We start with did, followed by the base form of the verb see. And what about food? A classic question could be, did you eat the cake? This simple inquiry can lead to delightful conversations about favorite recipes or memorable meals. It's interesting to observe how such questions can evoke shared memories, bringing people closer together. When forming these questions, remember that you're using the same structure regardless of which verb you're asking about. The pattern is straightforward. Did, plus the base form of the verb. This consistency makes it easier for you to form questions naturally in everyday conversations. In our next slide, we will delve deeper into expanding your vocabulary with additional irregular verbs. By strengthening your questioning skills with these verbs, you'll be well prepared to share your own stories and connect with others. Let's keep moving forward. Moving forward in our journey, we're now entering Chapter 3, where we will focus on expanding your vocabulary with more key irregular verbs. This is an exciting step because having a broader range of verbs helps you express yourself more clearly and vividly in past conversations. Let's start with have, which changes to had in the past. For example, you might say, I had a great time last weekend. This simple sentence conveys a positive experience and allows you to share your joy with others. It's interesting to notice how using had makes it clear that this enjoyment is in the past, allowing you to connect with your listeners by sharing memories. Next, we have give, which transforms into gave. Imagine it's your birthday and a friend surprises you by saying, she gave me a book for my birthday. This example not only highlights the act of giving, but also adds a personal touch to your storytelling. Sharing these experiences makes conversations more engaging and relatable. Now let's look at come, which becomes came. Picture someone returning home late at night and you might hear, he came home very late last night. This sentence gives context to someone's actions and can lead to interesting discussions about what they were doing. As you practice integrating these verbs into your conversations, think about how they fit into your own stories. Can you recall a time when you had a memorable experience, received a thoughtful gift, or someone came to visit you? Reflecting on these moments will help reinforce your understanding and usage of these verbs. In the next slide, we will explore the power of biography and how we can weave these verbs into our narratives to capture past experiences effectively. Let's continue to build on what we've learned together. Continuing our course, we now reach an exciting part of our journey, the power of biography and storytelling. We've learned how to use irregular verbs in the past, and now we'll see how these verbs are essential for crafting engaging narratives. Imagine a simple sentence. He went to Los Angeles, saw the ocean, and ate sushi for the first time. This sentence does more than just convey actions. It paints a vivid picture of someone's experiences. Notice how the past simple tense allows us to share events that have already occurred, giving life to our stories. When telling stories, whether it's a biography, a travel account, or your weekend adventures, mastering the past simple is crucial. The sequence of events you present creates a logical flow that keeps your audience engaged. For instance, if you tell someone about your trip, you might say, I went to the beach, built a sandcastle, and swam in the ocean. Each action builds upon the last, allowing your listener to visualize your entire experience. Think about your own life stories. What memorable experiences can you share? Perhaps a family vacation where you went hiking, saw breathtaking views, and ate delicious local food. Using the past simple helps you narrate these stories clearly and compellingly. It's interesting to observe that every time you recount an event, you're not just sharing facts. You're inviting others into your world, allowing them to connect with your experiences. In our next slide, we'll dive into a practical exercise where you will create your own narratives using the verbs we've been practicing. This is a fantastic opportunity to apply what you've learned and share your unique stories. Let's keep moving forward. Now that we understand the importance of storytelling and how to weave our experiences into compelling narratives, let's put that knowledge into practice. In this exercise, we will build our own stories using the verbs we've learned so far. Imagine your weekend. Think about what you did, where you went, what you saw, and what you ate. This is a wonderful opportunity to express your experiences in a structured way. To start, let's think about where you went. You could say, I went to the park, or I went to a friend's house. The verb went helps to establish the action and sets the stage for your story. Next, let's focus on what you saw during your weekend. Perhaps you saw a beautiful sunset or visited an art gallery. You might say, I saw a lovely painting, or I saw my friends. Using saw here helps to bring your experiences to life, allowing others to visualize your weekend. Finally, let's talk about what you ate or had. You could say, I ate pizza, or I had a delicious dessert. This part not only adds flavor to your story, but also invites your listeners to share in your enjoyment. As you create your 3 simple sentences, think about how they connect with each other. This will help you to form a coherent narrative. For instance, you could say, I went to the beach, I saw the waves, and I ate ice cream. Notice how each action builds on the last, creating a vivid picture of your experience. In our next slide, we'll discuss helpful tips for memorizing these verbs. But for now, Take a moment to reflect and write down your sentences. This exercise will reinforce your understanding and give you practice in narrating your past experiences. Let's get started. Moving forward in our journey, let's explore some practical tips for memorizing the irregular verbs we've been working with. Now that you have a grasp on how to use them in storytelling, it's essential to reinforce your memory so you can recall them effortlessly in conversations. One effective method is to use flashcards. You can create cards with the infinitive form of the verb on one side and its past form on the other. For example, one card could have go on one side and went on the other. Spending just 5 minutes a day reviewing these cards can significantly enhance your recall ability. It's interesting to notice how this repetitive practice helps solidify your knowledge, making it easier to remember when you need to share a story. Another helpful strategy is to read biographies in English. By exploring the lives of notable personalities, you'll encounter irregular verbs in their natural context. For instance, when you read about someone's adventures, you might see sentences like, "She went to Paris," or "He saw incredible sights." This not only builds your vocabulary, but also deepens your understanding of how these verbs fit into real-life narratives. Lastly, consider practicing mental narration before you sleep. Reflect on your day by mentally saying sentences like, "I went to the grocery store, I saw my friend, and I ate dinner." This exercise helps reinforce your learning and allows you to visualize your experiences while using the past tense. As we prepare for our next slide, think about how these tips can help you integrate what you've learned into your everyday life. In our upcoming section, we'll dive into the challenge of temporal expressions and how they play a crucial role in your storytelling. Let's keep up the momentum. Continuing our course, let's delve into an essential aspect of storytelling, the challenge of temporal expressions. We've learned how to use irregular verbs to share our past experiences, and now it's time to add clarity and precision to those narratives by incorporating time phrases. First, let's talk about the word last. This term helps us indicate when something happened. You'll notice that last always comes before a time period. For example, we say last night, last week, or last year. This structure clearly tells the listener when the event took place, making your story easier to understand. Imagine saying, "I went to a concert last week." This simple addition of last week provides your audience with a clear time frame for your experience. Next, we have the word ago. It's interesting to observe that ago always appears at the end of a time expression. You might say, "I saw my friend 2 days ago," or "I ate at that restaurant a month ago." Using ago helps to establish how far back in time the event occurred, which is crucial for your listener to grasp the sequence of events in your story. And let's not forget about yesterday. This word can stand alone or be combined with additional details, such as yesterday morning or yesterday evening. For instance, you could say, "I went shopping yesterday afternoon." This gives a more precise picture of your past actions, allowing your audience to visualize your day. As we practice using these temporal expressions, think about how they enhance your storytelling. They make your narratives clearer and more engaging. In our next slide, we'll review the differences between regular and irregular verbs, which will further solidify your understanding of the past tense. Let's keep moving forward. Now that we have explored how to use temporal expressions to enhance our storytelling, let's take a moment to review the differences between regular and irregular verbs. Both groups share some common characteristics, especially when it comes to forming negatives and questions. For instance, in a negative sentence, we use didn't plus the base form of the verb. So whether you're saying, "I didn't go," or "I didn't see," the structure remains the same. This consistency is essential as it allows you to form sentences correctly without worrying about the verb's past form. Similarly, when we ask questions, we follow the same pattern by using did plus the base form. For example, "Did you go?" or "Did you eat?" Notice how this structure makes it easy to shift from making statements to asking questions. However, the key difference arises in the affirmative form of the verbs. Regular verbs typically add ed to create their past tense form, while irregular verbs change entirely, as we've seen with go becoming went and see becoming saw. This is why irregular verbs require a bit more attention and practice. It's interesting to observe how mastering these differences can elevate your storytelling ability, allowing you to express your past experiences more effectively. As we move forward in our course, we'll address some common mistakes associated with these verbs, especially in their affirmative forms. Understanding these pitfalls will further enhance your confidence in using the past tense. So let's get ready to tackle those challenges together. Moving forward in our journey, let's focus on some common mistakes that can trip you up when using the past tense, particularly with irregular verbs. It's essential to be aware of these pitfalls so you can speak and write with confidence. One common error is saying, "I did went." This phrase might seem correct at first glance, but it's actually incorrect. Remember, the auxiliary verb did already indicates past tense, so the main verb should revert to its base form. Instead, you should say, "I did go," or simply, "I went." Notice how this adjustment not only corrects the error, but also clarifies your statement. Another frequent mistake is, "I didn't saw." Here, didn't also shows that the action is in the past, so you'll want to use the base form of the verb. The correct sentence is, "I didn't see the movie." This structure is crucial because it helps maintain the integrity of your sentences while ensuring clarity. To help you remember, keep in mind the golden rule. Always use the infinitive form of the verb when you're using did or didn't. This applies to all your questions and negative sentences. For example, when asking, "Did you go?" or saying, "I didn't eat," you are using the infinitive form effectively. As we prepare to wrap up our exploration of the past simple tense, think about how avoiding these common mistakes can enhance your storytelling. In our next slide, we'll summarize everything we've learned about the past simple tense and its practical applications in your narratives. Let's keep up the good work. Now that we've addressed common mistakes in using the past simple tense, let's take a moment to summarize what we've learned in this course. Understanding the past simple is crucial, as it helps us communicate facts that are complete and finished. This tense allows us to share actions that started and ended in the past, marked by helpful time phrases like yesterday, last night, or 2 days ago. These markers guide your listeners, making it easier for them to follow your narrative. We've also explored the world of irregular verbs, which are a bit unique because they don't follow the standard rules. For example, go becomes went, see changes to saw, and eat transforms into ate. There's no straightforward pattern here, so mastering these verbs relies on practice and repetition in your daily conversations. Think about how many times you can use these verbs in different contexts, and you'll soon find yourself more comfortable with them. We can't forget about the auxiliary verb did, which plays a dominant role in forming negatives and questions. Whenever you use did or didn't, remember to revert to the base form of the verb. For instance, instead of saying, "I did went," you would correctly say, "I did go." This structure is essential for maintaining clarity and correctness in your sentences. As we prepare to move to our final challenge, consider how these elements come together to enhance your storytelling. Being able to express your past experiences confidently will open up new avenues for communication. Let's get ready for the final slide, where we'll put everything into practice. As we reach the final slide of our course, let's reflect on the incredible journey we've taken together through the past simple tense. Especially with irregular verbs, you've learned how to express completed actions using examples like went, saw, and ate. These verbs are not just words, they're keys to unlocking your ability to tell stories in English. By practicing these, you move from just memorizing lists to becoming a storyteller, sharing your experiences and connecting with others. For your final challenge, I encourage you to write a sentence about your favorite experience from yesterday, using at least 2 of the irregular verbs we've covered. This exercise will help solidify your understanding and give you the confidence to incorporate what you've learned into your everyday conversations. Remember, language is all around us. To further enhance your skills, pay attention to how native speakers use these tenses in songs and movies. This immersion will help you gain fluency in a natural and enjoyable way. Thank you for your dedication and participation throughout this course. You've committed time and energy to learn a valuable skill, and that effort will pay off as you apply these lessons in real-life situations. The knowledge you've gained here is not just for the classroom. It's a tool you can use to express yourself clearly and confidently in the world. Congratulations on completing this course. You're now equipped with essential tools to navigate the past, simple tense, and tell your own stories in English. Keep practicing, stay curious, and remember, every story you share adds to your journey in language learning. If you are watching on YouTube, check the video description. It has the step-by-step guide on how to get your certificate. If you are watching on Zanti Academy or pveduca.com, mark this lesson as completed to finish the course and unlock your certificate.